This is Banjo, and today I'm going over the employment of the S-24 240mm unguided rocket. The S-24 comes in two variants, S-24A and S-24B. Either can be loaded onto both the inboard or outboard weapon stations. In this example, I have a pair of S-24As on my inboard and S-24Bs on my outboard. To set up the aircraft for ground attack with the S-24 rocket, we'll move the weapons master mode into ground attack in the downwards position, at which point we can rotate the weapon selector into either the inboard or outboard S-24 rocket stations. For this example, I'll be starting with the inboard and moving on to the outboard. At this point, the ASP gunsight can be configured for ground attack. Gun select will be moved down into the lower launch position. The fire mode selector will be moved into the upper fire position, and either automatic or manual use of the gunsight can be selected with the third switch below. The final step in automatic would be to dial in the ground target size. Ground target is indicated in the illuminated window just inside from the dial. And finally, we can cage the gyro to prevent the pipper from slipping around during maneuvering. Pipper illumination can be controlled using the dial just below intercept angle on the right side of the gunsight. At this point, before I demonstrate automatic attack, I'll explain manual attack. With the automatic manual switch in the lower position, the gunsight will now be in manual operation. We're able to see that it's bore side of the pipper and set the TDC for its lowest range. To increase the range, we can rotate the grip on the throttle, and we're able to see range target is increased. This will be the range you set up your attack for on the lowest scale on the set of scales below the gunsight glass. At this point, we can set the radar into operation and fixed beam mode. At this point, we have to dial in the weapon's intercept angle for the chosen weapon, which in this case is the S-24 rocket. And as we're able to see, we have a position for S-24 on the weapon's intercept dial. At this point in manual operation, you would roll in and place the pipper over the target and press target lock. To the left of the range scales below the glass of the gunsight, we're able to see we have another scale. This scale will tell us the range to our ground lock target, which we can use to tell us when we've reached the range we've dialed into the TDC. At this point, I'll roll in and conduct the attack with a couple of examples using the automatic mode of the ASP and a couple of examples using the manual mode of the ASP. The first example, we're starting in automatic mode. We're able to see that the gunsight is configured for ground attack with the S-24 inboard station containing the S-24A. At this point, I'll idle my throttle to prevent myself from overspeeding, which can over-G the weapons off of my outboard pylons when I pull out of the attack. And I'll hold the pipper just below the target and walk it up over the target. And as I get closer, we're going to see as the range will start to unwind. Launch authorized will be displayed over the gun selector as a red indicator. Shortly thereafter, the brake attack indicator to the right of the range scales will illuminate. At this point, I'll hold weapons release and immediately pull out of the attack, being careful not to pull more than 5 Gs, or the weapons may jettison off of my pylons due to over-G. At this point, I can switch the weapon selector into the outboard pylons and fire the S-24Bs that I'm carrying on my outboard stations, and conduct a second attack. As we were able to see in the first example, I fired from about 1.5 kilometers. In this next example, I fired from about 1.8 kilometers. The ASP is able to adjust the range to place the pipper onto the point of impact quite accurately within 2 kilometers to target. So we're able to see I've eliminated both groups target in the automatic attack. At this point, we're able to see that the gunsight is configured for manual attack. In order to receive ranging information, I'll place the pipper over the target and press target lock to ground lock the target, and we can see the range information displayed to the left of the regular range scales. Once it starts reading below 2, which would be 2 kilometers to target, I'll hold weapons release to release the weapon, as I have the ASP gunsight configured for 2 kilometers to target, and we're able to see that I've destroyed the bunker. Range to target can be judged manually. I'm running the radar, although I don't use it to ground lock the target to estimate range here. I just program 2 kilometers into the gunsight and judge it as best I can. And we're able to see I hit the same second group that I hit in the automatic example. For this final example of weapons delivery, we're going to see is the range can be pushed out significantly further than the 2 kilometers that the ASP gunsight can be configured for using the S-24 rocket. In this example, I'm pushing it out to somewhere around 6 to 8 kilometers in these two examples. Gaining as much airspeed as possible to impart onto the rocket before release will help prevent the rocket from falling out of the sky before it reaches its target as it begins to lose airspeed. So at this point, I'll release both sets of S-24 rocket and break off my attack, and we're able to see as both sets impact near the target, with one set falling short and the other impacting somewhere on the center of the column. At this point, we'll see this again in a second example from a steeper dive angle. In this example, I'm going to stagger my releases by about a half second, which will help spread my damage over a larger area, which will increase my chances for a successful hit from this extreme range. This will take some practice, though it goes without saying, higher airspeed and less range will result in higher kill probability. At this point, we're able to see the varying effects between the A and B variants of the S-24 rocket. We're able to see both will successfully destroy 5 of these lightly armored vehicles in a column, so the blast radius is roughly the same. As far as power and penetration of the weapons are involved, the next tests involve a concrete bunker, and spaced away a few meters, a main battle tank. We're able to see as both the A and B variants are able to successfully destroy both, aiming in the center of the targets in the first strike. So their blast power is roughly the same as well. Here we can see that the range and velocity of the weapons are roughly the same as well, as we can see I've fired both in a short delay. The one main variance that I noticed between the A and B variant of the S-24 is that when loading the S-24A onto your inboard pylons, I've noticed a strong tendency for flameout regardless of speed or angle. In this case, we're able to see that I've conducted from high speed and a low shallow angle, and a lower speed at a higher angle. Both times we have an engine flameout, and we can see during all of these attacks I'm pulling 1G exactly. When loading S-24As onto your inboard weapons pylons, this is a thing to note.